Hey, everybody. Happy January 1st, 2024. Lands, how did we get here? Well, here we are keeping it spiritually simple, but how can we do that when we've had so many different things going on in the world and individually and collectively? And we want to see change. And how do we do that and participate with that? And today, my lovely guest is Chanda Sparkles. She's an intuitive astrologer extraordinaire and she's got a lot to say today. And but before we get into all that, I would really love it if each and every one of you would just take a quick moment, take your little toddling finger, hit like and subscribe, leave us a comment. It helps with the algorithm. We need your support so that we can get our information out there on these social media platforms. So thank you in advance for hitting that. So, Shanda, what's happening?
Hey, how's everybody? Thank you so much for having me on this wonderful 1st of January. 1-1. Wow. We have got an exciting I've got something happening here with it's wanting me to leave the meeting and I don't want to do that. There we go. It was doing something, my computer did something. Anyway, we've got an exciting year ahead. Shocking year ahead, I would say. Lots of twists and turns. And January, I feel like January is going to be one of those months where we extract and then we withdraw. You know, we're really expanding and retracting throughout January. So, but we'll get into some of the highlights if you want to through the whole year. But
Yeah, well,
I'm excited. It's going to
let's
be
do that.
okay.
Sorry, we just had a little delay there. So
Yeah, no good.
I'm,
No,
I'm
it's
going to
all
pause a minute before I do any responses. You know, we also have to point out too, when you get two light workers that are of higher frequency and vibration, electronics is definitely affected and it expresses itself through its glitches. And so we're just going to go with it. So everybody that's listening, just tune in and just know that it's just what happens. We're sparkling.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the electromagnetic field is really ramped up since we just had that huge X flare yesterday. Holy cow, X.5 flare. That is a huge solar flare. It's the largest solar flare of this cycle. And then it was followed up this morning by two M-class flares. And those are high, those are high frequency, so we're
Mhm.
feeling all of that. And the electronics feel it too. Plus, Mercury is direct today. So that means he's stationary. And when Mercury is stationary, just sitting there vibrating, his frequencies are magnified. And Mercury rules our electronics, our communications, the internet, yada, yada, stuff like that. So, no problem. We just go with it, right?
Yes,
That's what I do on
indeedy.
my live show anyway.
So let's hear a little bit about what January's got to bring, what you would like to bring through. What messages have you gotten? What's the map of the planets telling us?
All right. Well, I have coined this year the year of the ascended, not to be confused with the year of the ascension. The year of the ascended, okay, which means those of us, not to say one is better than the other, it's all just energy. Those of us who have been doing the work for a good long time or hardcore within a short time, everybody's on their different level, are really going to feel as though, hey, I've really ascended some of that shift that happened back then, you know? And then I feel like, too, it's almost like we're going to have the fastest, most time is going to really speed up. And electronics, technology, outside of the box, alien, extraterrestrial type of technologies really coming online and really activating the physicality, even, like physical healing. I feel we are really, those ascended are going to feel as though we are the AI. And you work on the physical body, right?
I do. I do. I work on the emotional and the physical storage units, basically through hypnosis and past life regression. And I call it regression because it just gets you into a state of consciousness where you can access some of that memory, getting out of what I call that 10 and 2 got to do busy day,
Yeah.
and how to work with the beta and the alpha and get down to theta waves so you can access some of that AI that you're talking about, that inner innate information, and pathways that we haven't really tapped into yet.
hmm Well, with Pluto entering Aquarius, that's a big deal. That's happening in January. And by the way, I'm calling it, and I always coin, because I do weekly astrology, and then daily on Facebook and Instagram, but I do my live broadcast weekly, and every month at the beginning of the month, I've surveyed the month, I've tapped into my guidance, and I got just late last night what I was going to coin January. You want to know?
Do tell.
Just board the ship already, January.
Get on the boat, people.
Right. Just
I
well,
call
and
it the train.
I'm kind
I
of looking
call
at
it the
it like a
train.
galactic ship
Yeah.
or the ship already. January, all we're doing is we're stepping on board. No more hesitancy. No more should I or shouldn't I. You're going to have to take the initiative step onto the ship. You don't know where you're going, and we won't know all January. We at the end of January, we'll still be like, what's happening here? We're getting slow, methodical steps on long-term goals. That's the key to January. But just board the ship already. January is here.
I love
2024.
it.
How cool, huh? The year of the ascended.
Yes.
The ascended. And you could take that apart and put it, what does the ascended look like to you? you know you could think about that. I put a lot of the time I'll put different astrology out there. I'll put what I call astro bites, and it's just like a few words, few sentences to kind of explain the day. One, quite honestly, it's because I'm slammed busy and I don't have time to write a whole big long one every day. But two, it gets people thinking, and when you start thinking, you're seeing the astrology from your perspective. We want you to use the astrology. The astrology doesn't rule us. The planets don't cause us to have this or that happen. They can empower us to show us the direction, like the GPS to our life. That's what I often call it. Astrology is the GPS to your life. If you know your soul's blueprint, your astrological birth chart,
Mhm.
it will help to guide you on this path. And I often wonder how these people even survive all willy-nilly out in the world without knowing these energies that knows that, this is going to happen. Okay, during this period, like for instance, the week of the 20th, right as soon as we have Pluto and the sun at the same time, enter the same time. Pluto has been in Capricorn for 14 years, working over the world powers, the governmental structures, and the businesses, big businesses. Okay, that's what Capricorn is. It's CEOs, world leaders. It's been working over for the last since 2008. Well, when Pluto entered in 2008, we all know what happened. We had that horrible crash, right? So now that Pluto is exiting, going into Aquarius, he's going with the sun. Hours. It's only hours that these two powerhouses are going to come into Aquarius together on the 20th and make it for a reactivation from an actual major. You might remember back from December 2020 when we had Jupiter and Saturn come in the sky and everybody was looking up at the sky going, oh, it's the Christmas North Star. No, it's Saturn and Jupiter, and they're together, reactivating that same point in our chart. See, astrology happens in cycles and reactivations because all of these different degrees, they in their own right also mean something. So it's quite fascinating. So we have a really interesting month of shift. And I feel like, this is kind of like the last seed of the realm of the unconscious, because Pluto rules our unconscious. Pluto is the deep, dark shadow deeds, everything that lies beneath and in the void um, of humanity's collective consciousness. Okay. And when he has been acting like the bulldozer, world powers, governmental structures, big business, big pharma for all of this time, and now he's going to shift into science and technologies, alien technologies, Aquarius, air sign thinking. Capricorn is grounded, earth, steady, true, slow and steady wins the race. That's a big shift, a real big shift. Now, I must say, while we're talking about Pluto, he will dip his toe for one last time, starting in September, all the way up to November. Just in time, he'll dip his toe right back in, like not even going a tenth of a degree back into Capricorn for one last time, and never again. This is a 250-year cycle. Never again will we see this. Um, just of course in time for the United States elections. It'll be rich. Um, wow. And we'll talk more about that later.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, this is a cool, it's a cool thing where we're getting little glimpses into the future. I feel like we're going to have to really release that big dream idea, because we'll be having multiple planets moving together. Mars moves into Capricorn, then Venus moves into Capricorn, and Mercury in Capricorn, all pretty much almost all of this month. And they're all just entering, week after week after week. And when you have that many personal planets that affect us personally, all activating Capricorn, even though we feel that push when we step into Aquarius for the future, because Aquarius is futuristic, we're still going to have like this pull of, hey, hold on, are we stable in this? Are we taking our time with this? Are we looking at the long, bigger picture while we're lightning bolt forward, basically? It's going to be fascinating.
I'm excited.
Yeah. So, what is your sign? What's your sun sign?
Virgo.
See, and I said she's either Gemini or Virgo in my head because
Yeah, Virgo.
you're so good with words and you're ruled by Mercury. Um,
Yes,
yeah. So, and Mercury going direct today is a big deal. Right there in
indeed.
Capricorn. He's the first one to actually make a big move this month. And then we'll have Mars entering Capricorn on Thursday. I think that this morning, a lot of people are waking up on New Year's Eve kind of going, I'm not really feeling that gung ho to go do anything. And that's probably due to the Venus and Saturn square, where Saturn gives us restrictions and stuff like that. But I feel like we'll really start picking up momentum by Wednesday, Thursday. Like you'll feel like, okay, it's time to get back to work. It's time to get focused. It's time to do those intentions. I don't like resolutions, but let's do those intentions. So that'll be good for you. And you're so good with words. I was like, she's got to be some kind of, I was like, she's either Virgo or she's Gemini in her sun, moon, or
Hmm.
rising.
Yeah, Virgo, Sag rising, and Moon is in Aquarius.
Moon is in
But
Aquarius.
I'm on the cusp. I'm on the cusp of Virgo Libra, the 22nd of September. So
Oh,
I feel like I'm multiple personalities, multiple, and I
yeah.
go with the flow of the energy on a daily basis.
You can chameleonize yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I like cuspers. I would say probably 60% of my clients are cuspers, truly, because when you're on the cusp, you're being pulled in two different directions, just like you said, you know.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot. You know, I've had a lot of clients who have had a lot of traumas this year. I'm sure you have as well,
Hmm.
and myself as well, And it's not been 2023 has not been easy. How was 2023 for you?
I I I was told by spirit, when I say spirit, my own guide team, my higher self, last year that it was going to kind of be a little bit slow and dipping into more shadow and um, more of that. Really finding out where my last nerve is and where patients can assist. But towards the end of 2023, I would begin to see more light for myself personally and for the collective. But those who have done their work and that have been doing their work and sort of been behind the scenes, we're going to start to emerge and begin to come out at the end of 23 going into 24. So you really hit the nail on the head there. um, it's really just been a year of just constantly redefining myself and also coming to the points of, why am I even here? I don't even know what I'm existing for. Gosh, I wonder if I should just exit this planet. And yet I'm such a liver and a life lover of life. And I don't mean that figuratively, but it would be just a lot of exploration into deep dives of self, I think.
Mhm.
And yet there's been, since I want to say the end of November, going into December, just a calm, like nothing phases me.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. I would say that really the end of November through December, we started to feel like we were coming out of a lot of that. That we, because it's really rough. Last year we had a lot of planets that were going retrograde all at the same time. Not to say that we don't have planets that go retrograde at the same time every year, but it was almost like all of them. Just, I mean, and that happens, sometimes it's just the way it lines up. And it was really rough for a lot of people, and shocking things, like really shocking things. I honestly think 2023 was more for me and for people that I've spoken to anyway, not for everybody, of course. But I feel like it was rougher than 2020. I'm really happy to see it go bye-bye.
Hmm.
I really don't feel like I don't feel like everything that we went through in 2023, we are even quite grasping the uh, the highest knowledge of what that really means. And I feel that will begin to unfold when we step into the equinox, which is going to be really powerful. You want me to move into that?
Yeah, I do. And I was just getting messages there, like, showing me the water, and the water's moving along in a certain direction, and it has its speedier places and then its calmer places. But we really never ever understood the undertow, the undercurrent of what's been carrying a lot of things.
Mhm.
And I think we're going to get more of a reveal on that coming up in 2024 as well, bringing things more to the surface.
And
I
then you
could be.
also, you also activated me with that. Excuse me. When I start to channel, I always have my nose run. No allergies.
Hmm.
Craziest thing. But anyway, let me do this.
We discussed that earlier, you guys.
Oh, good.
There's an energy activation that happens, and your body just starts to kind of decongest and decompress because you're accessing other elements of spiritual senses.
Mhm.
And so the physical senses sometimes can say, hey,
Yeah.
we're letting you know something's going on. So you can get ear ringing, you can get nausea, you can get off balance, you can get nose running, you can get a twitch. And yours just happens to be the nose running.
Yeah. And then the eyes start to water a lot of
Yeah.
the time. All of that just, it's almost like I'm just purging stuff out
Yeah.
through higher dimension.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Mine will get filmy,
that's,
filmy.
well, what?
My eyes will get filmy. Like
Oh,
things become a little bit blurry, like I cannot clear my lenses or my eyes. And
interesting.
so I have learned to dialogue with spirit about that. And I'm like, okay, am I supposed to maneuver through this store or this place or these things with this fog in my eyes so that I'm tapping into other sensories. So I'm
Mhm.
not seeing as clearly. So it's been a real learning year of playing with my own sensory system.
Well, and that would make a lot of sense, and that will continue. That would make a sense astrologically as well, because Jupiter, the planet that expands and magnifies, is in Taurus, which rules our senses and it rules our physical body. And we have Jupiter heading, now that it's just gone direct at the very last day, of December 2023, it is now heading towards Uranus, and that will be the largest conjunction of the year. It will be the largest conjunction of the decade. It is a pretty big deal because, and it's not just because of the conjunction itself, it's the sequence of events that happen prior to the conjunction. I want to make sure I'm right on my dates, so I'm going to make sure that I pull this all up. So, we will have the equinox, which happens always in the spring, and that is the actual beginning of the astrological calendar, the beginning of the new year. It's quite honestly, in my humble opinion, and many people that I know's humble opinion, the beginning of the year. This is when the
Mm-hmm.
ancients celebrated the new year. This is when we should be celebrating the new year. Well, it just makes more sense. But the Gregorian calendar was set up purposely for, I believe, in order to kind of mess with humanity's actual flow, you
Yes.
know.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, but that's happening. We will have on the 19th, and that's the other thing. A lot of the dates, because we're having a leap year. Remember, we have a leap year this year. So we'll have 29 days in February. And because of that, a lot of our dates, which normally it would be like the 20th, well, this year, the equinox falls on the 19th. So it's very interesting to me that how all of this is happening. And we are having such incredible events because as Jupiter, the largest planet in our galaxy, begins to head towards Uranus, which I call the Great Awakener, um, he's the one that shakes everything up to your core. He says, hey, 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 you built this on a faulty foundation. So we're going to knock it down and you're going to start again with something new and future forward. And we're going to rebelliously do this if you haven't stepped in to do it yourself. And really, and I speak kind of like in a story with it, but of course, it's all up to us. Always remembering the planets are frequencies. It's the study of the frequency that they may or may not put out that could or could not come into play for you personally if it's affecting your birth chart. This is an overall general consensus. Thank you. They're telling me just to remind everybody of that. All right. And then, so that happens on the 19th of March. And then 2 weeks later, we have a lunar eclipse happening in the sign of Libra, a big full moon, lunar, supermoon, lunar eclipse. And then 2 weeks after that, we have the biggest, most positive, amazing solar eclipse I've seen in my career. And I've been studying this for 8 years. So, we're talking about conjoined to Mercury, conjoined to Chiron, conjoined to Venus, this solar eclipse. It will be speaking in harmony to Jupiter, who will be conjoined to Uranus. Okay, see where I'm going here? Lots of big energy happening, benefic energy, because those are all benefic planets. We've had some full moons this year and a solar eclipse this year that was connected to Saturn and Mars or Pluto. And I always say if the moon is connected to a malefic planet, you really don't want to put your crystals out there unless you're like charging them to do banishment work or shadow work or some kind of, that stuff. But anyway, getting back to this eclipse, it's going to be happening on the 8th. It's an incredible, like, just an event that is going to really just open us all up to magnify even more. And we're building, 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 slowly building, but it's going to feel really, really fast all the way up to that point. So that's a pretty amazing spring that we must look forward to. And then, like I said, back in September, we'll have Pluto coming back. Remember, we're feeling through all of this as we head into the spring as to, what this is going to be about. In 2023 in March, we had a little taste of what Pluto in Aquarius is going to be when he stepped in just for a short little while, just for a few months, and then stepped back out and went back in retrograde and said, "Oh, now we got to swipe that last degree again." And we'll be just like, because Pluto moves so slowly, he'll be so concentrated on 29 degrees of Capricorn until he enters, and then he'll go over to 0 degrees of Aquarius, and then up to 1 degrees, and then back again to 29 degrees Capricorn, which that's called the anaretic degree, which means it's an extreme degree, and it's an accumulation of all of the degrees in an astrological sign. So if you get it, there's 30 degrees in an astrological sign. Each one of those degrees has their own meaning. So you take all of that you've learned throughout that time period, and you combine it, and you're talking about world powers, world governments. This is why the old guard is falling. This is why Pluto is like the demolition crew. Pluto says this must transform now or die, and I don't give a flip one way or the other. It's happening. So there'll be last grasp from the big controllers and the elites to try to really, hold on to that power, especially starting in September. But it'll be on hollow ground. It'll have nothing to stand. And you can even see, in the world, more and more people are realizing, I really don't care about all of that stuff anymore. I mean, it's there. Yeah, it affects us, but it's losing its grip on a lot of humanity. And more and more people this year will start to realize that. And there will be some kind of shocking something. When Uranus and Jupiter are coming together, you hold on to your socks. That's like a rocket ship taking off.
Mm-hmm.
And will it explode in the air? Or will it,
Mm-hmm.
this is fast. It's going to be a fast year. We're going to be blinking. And this time next year, we'll be like, what just happened? What? I can't even believe it's already, because think about how fast this year went.
Mm-hmm.
This time, and now we're switching. See, we're switching into more air modalities, the element of air, which is your thinking, your communications, your mind, how, all communications, media, internet. I would not be surprised this year if we don't see a new form of internet. Definitely new forms of social media, especially the last half of the year.
Mm-hmm.
But some kind of new internet, some kind of new, definitely more media popping up for sure. But, it's going to be really attached to this artificial intelligence and us becoming more artificially intelligent. And are we actually, I mean, in medical advancements in science and technologies? This is why I haven't bought new equipment like for my studio. I've been holding out because I know some incredible things are about to become. There's already a new AI like camera for your studio. It's reasonably priced, but I thought, no, if they have that now and it's not even like we're not even fully in, with Pluto and Aquarius yet, just think what they'll have next year. There's going to be some stuff that we could never fathom or imagine. And the key, I believe, really for each person is to be your unique individual self, because that is the new cool. Yeah.
Interesting. When you were talking there, I kept seeing people nestled and rooted within themselves and being uprooted, like just being uprooted, like plants, like pulling up carrots and turnips and beets that are all really down there with their deep roots. And they're not, you don't think they're quite ready yet, right? So you're just going to give them a little more time to marinate in the soil, and they're just being uprooted. When you were talking about the rocket ship and everything, it's just going to take people out of their rootedness and into what's going to be a whole new realm of exploration and things that are offered. It's almost going to be like a magical, like, oh, I had no idea any of this stuff existed. because they've been living so deeply rooted in the old paradigm, the old program of
Yeah.
self.
We started building that new ego, that started in November. I'm sorry, excuse me, mid-year last year, 2023.
Okay.
And when you're building a new ego, I could see how, you know, you're going to hold on to those old egoic ways. This is how my character's always been. This is how I'm always going to be, right? So I could see where you're coming from with it being rooted, uprooted, like they've been set in their ways for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Uranus, these transits really are speaking to the energy. And, you can look back at these same kind of transits that happened in the past and what happened, the Revolutionary War, we've been underneath the Pluto United States return now for over a year, well over a year, a couple of years now. And that just means it came back to the exact point when we became a country and we had our birthday. Okay. And, Pluto's a big player in that. And when you have the return, it's going to break all that down because it has to be revolutionized, you see. So, and everything will have to be revolutionized. Everything has to move forward. I do feel like, though, there's one thing I wanted to make sure I mentioned here. I put, and so I get downloads and I write them down as they come. I put be an inspiration. We are building towards the new as the old guard crumbles. Unique defines the self. I choose to be unique whether or not you like it or not. There's going to be a lot of that. A lot of people will be with the North Node being in Aries. We're regaining, we're restructuring, we're revising the ego, not making the ego bad. We have to have it to be human. But it's like the ascending ship. I'm like, just get on the ship. It's just get on, just board the ship, January. We're just boarding the ship. Um, we're going to be unapologetically us this year. And by the end of this year, when that North Node in Aries, by the way, the North Nodes, if you didn't know, there's two nodes to the planets and their energy signatures, okay? But we use them to guide us as they go around, to guide us as to when we have eclipses. But they're 18-month cycles. And so every 18 months, they click and they're always opposite each other, always, always. And they're always going retrograde. And so this period is all about resurfacing, restructuring, revamping, and receiving a new ego by the end of this year. Okay. And the South Node is all about what we're releasing, what we're learning from. It's all about Libra and codependency and relationships. That's why you see lots of people breaking up. You're going to continue to see a lot of breakups throughout this year. Lots of people breaking up. By the way, if you're a light worker out there and you've been like, I can't find a partner, I'm single, I'd love to find a awakened partner. Sandra, just hold on because you're going to find some this year, definitely into next year. It's going to be happening. Just keep putting yourself out there. But anyway, getting back to the whole point of everything is I feel like because you said, we're going to be getting uprooted and it's just like, okay, what you always thought, this is no longer, it has to do with that North Node in Aries because we are restructuring and receiving a new ego.
Mm-hmm.
Understanding ourselves in a whole different way. It's so exciting to understand. Like sometimes things happen and I'm like, did that just happen? You know what I'm saying? You just, and before, let's just say 10 years ago or even 5 years ago, I would have been like, this is going to be world crushing. I'll never get past this, blah, 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 or something like that. And now it's just like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, move on
Yeah.
because humanity's consciousness has been um, resurfaced. There's a whole new resurfacing. It's a whole new resurfacing. They're showing it to me like, you know how you have a countertop and it gets all icky, so you have the people come in and they put a new shine on it or whatever. It's like we're getting a new shine on our consciousness throughout this whole period that started back in 2020 with the grand super conjunction that hadn't happened since the Revolutionary War, you know.
Mm-hmm.
A huge conjunction that happened in 2020 of January 2020. So it's phases and cycles of resurfacing the consciousness.
Mm-hmm. We're getting our shine on. January 2020 is when I got the download of no distractions. Spirit kept saying, no distractions, no distractions. I kept saying, okay, whatever that's supposed to mean.
Yeah.
And before March of 2020, I got, we're going to be flipping the ego and the heart center. So when you were just talking there about the nodes always being in opposite of each other, and when this one moves and this one moves, and then they kind of keep moving together, right?
Hmm.
Um, I
Always
was seeing
exactly
the
opposite.
ego and the heart just switching. So we're moving more into the heart center, and the ego is being redeveloped.
Hmm.
It's being calibrated in a way just through its automatic turns.
Hmm.
Um, and because of more light on the planet, the energetics that are happening, the uprooting,
Hmm.
boarding the ship, because you know what? Before we had a choice of taking action, how open do you want the window to be, and how far do you want to jump out it to redevelop yourself? Well, now it's just get on that ship, get on that train, just board it, see where you're going to go. Um, and it's no longer that one foot in both worlds. It's get on it and get going. So I was seeing the heart and the ego completely switching. And I understood later more and more about the distractions, because then I had to just detach from so many people, places, and things during
Hmm.
that whole 2020 up really until now.
Hmm. Hmm. Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Detachment. Huge, huge detachments happening. You know, I have so many people that I speak to that have had loss. And we're not just talking about, physical death, we're talking about losing everything. I lost all of my money, I lost my house, or and it's happening in ways that are shocking. It's like I never saw that coming kind of stuff, and that is how we are being prepared to get our shine on, but we just got to get on board. There will be some that don't get on board. Something else that I wrote here about this whole thing, which I think is pretty good, and it goes with right along this. It says, we're going to be unapologetically us, the unique one, right? Separate from the pack, but still benefiting the pack. You see, um, that are riding the ship. Are you on the ship? Did you get on the ship? It's not too late. You can still get on the ship, you see. Reality, duality is being released. The reality of duality is being released. And it's slow and steady. Capricorn is the earth sign of the goat. Okay. The mountain goat that climbs the mountain, you've seen the pictures of those goats on the side of the mountain and they're on a cliff. And you're like, how the heck did they get up there, right?
Yeah.
This is it. And you keep climbing to the top persistently, slowly, strategically until you get to the top. And then, the Capricorn becomes a flying seahorse. It's like a flying goat is the ascended version. Like the signs have certain totems, and you go from this to this to this. So it's pretty interesting, and really pulling in on our values, how we value ourselves. This is building our worth in ourselves based upon what we value, and releasing the family karma, that, and having to release people, um, you will be forced, if you're someone that's out there that's going, I know this has got to stop. This is not going to last. This is not going to work, whether it be job, work, experiences, family. I suggest go ahead and cut that out right now, because it's the perfect opportunity to, as Pluto is about to be entering into Aquarius, because Pluto is like, it's over.
Mm-hmm.
He enables us, this archetype, it will enable us to do it easily. Whereas before, it might have been more challenging. Can I do that? Will I be able to afford to live by myself? Don't wait until some tragic thing happens to force you to do what you know you need to do right now,
Mm-hmm.
so that you can look at the long-term goal, like Capricorn. The CEO of a corporation didn't become a CEO overnight. Most of them. Now, I'm not saying that that isn't something that can't be a reality in this Aquarian corridor that we're stepping into. But the Capricorn is that long, steady, and true, but it has long-term goals. So that's what we're really looking at. And we're also going to be, like I said, expansion and contraction all month long. You're going to feel like, it's time to go. And you're going to be like, oh, but shit, I got to stop. Oh, sorry. I got to
Have
stop.
at it.
I have to pull back on this because of such and such. So just know you're going to be expanding and growing, expanding and growing. Don't have too big of a Jupiterian, which is going to be very easy to have this big vision and this big dream that's going on, and feel all butthurt when it doesn't come through, because that's part of the energy this month. I will say the most challenging parts of the month will be mid-month of January on. You're going to have a lot of agitation, a lot of change happening that middle of the month. We're going to be really looking at what are our philosophical thoughts that week, and things may be exaggerated. There's a lot of exaggeration going on the middle of the month. And really, truly, honestly, you're not going to be seeing, you're not really going to be feeling, I guess we could say, that the energy is starting to pick up until we have this Capricorn new moon happening next week on the 11th. That's a very good and hopeful new moon. It's a really positive time to be focused, and focused forward, but focused in the real world.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be having these excitable ideas. There's going to be all of this, and not to say that that's not coming, but right now it's not the time. And then the last part of the month is it's going to be tense. That full moon is going to be a lot of overinflated information. It's a full moon in Leo. So you're going to have people putting things out on display that really probably will end up falling apart because it's not ready yet. We're not really moving forward, even though we feel like we want to move forward. But we'll have no planets retrograde as of the 27th of this month. Mark that on your calendar, because that is your go time. After the 27th of this month, all the way up until April, we have no planets retrograde. When you have no planets retrograde, it is forward momentum. You're able to get things done. You're able to get things accomplished. You don't have as many blocks pop up in your life. That's why I've been saying, whatever it is that you're expanding and then retracting upon throughout this month, just be in that planning phase, knowing that I'm going to have to take this slow, even though I feel like I want to go big. It might not happen right now. It's okay. We're going to have all planets direct soon by the end of the month. And I think too, we have Uranus is going to go direct this month on the 27th. That'll be the last planet. And really, we'll have all of the other planets that just recently went direct. See, we're just recently coming out of direct. Well, it's like a big old ship on the sea. A planet station's direct, it takes it a minute to go the other direction. Okay. It takes it a minute to get up to speed, and you're feeling momentum. And so all the momentum will really be kicking in gear for February. And I will say this, February is going to be a little bit of forceful dynamics. I would say forceful dynamics. February is probably what I'm going to label that. It could change, but that's what I've kind of got in parentheses in pencil here. Um, you know, I feel like this new moon that's happening in Aquarius is going to be like, we'll have some big and huge announcement science wise, and there's going to be some kind of big thing happening, with health and frequency. Oh my gosh. And the shakeups on the planet, earthquakes, lightning, Uranus rules and lightning, and Uranus rules Aquarius. And we have Uranus coming together with Jupiter. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be very exciting. Just stay in that high frequency as much as you can, even when, you're feeling like your world may be crumbling around you. Go outside and ground, get some sun on your face, get into a salt bath with magnesium chips. That's magnesium, so important for us who are really experiencing any of those ascension symptoms, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Do you use anything for your ascension process? Like, I do a lot of salt baths. I'm a big saltwater girl, live on an island, go to the ocean.
Yeah, lucky you.
Yeah, love to get
Um, I go through what my body's at. I tune in every day and ask what do I need, and sometimes a bath is in order, and sometimes a bath is too much of a drastic temperature change for me. So then I just have to go into my own barometer and
Mhm.
get on my own keyboard and start adjusting things and learning how to dial my own shift and shift itself, the vehicle of me, because my spirit will say one thing, but then my physical body needs a little bit longer to adjust to what it's being asked.
Mhm.
Foods may change, liquid stuff may change. It just really depends on the day. And, the larger things are to appear to change, like you're talking about the ship and the ship turning its direction. It's like anything larger and bigger takes a little bit longer to maneuver. And there's a lot of unseen energies being maneuvered. Just like I said about that undercurrent, the upper waters look like it's going this way. This is happening, but the undercurrent is what's really moving the motion of the ocean, so to speak. And I was also hearing um, we need to pay attention to the difference between restriction and responsibility, and knowing the difference between what is a restriction as you're making changes and what is a responsibility.
Yeah.
And the number one thing is being responsible to this vehicle, this avatar, and it housing the God spirit within. And sometimes we have to be the guiding light within our demographics, within our family unit, within an intimate relationship, to say, I have to maneuver this way, and you all can maneuver with me, or we can dissolve and have resolution to what isn't working, and make changes based on responsibility to self and what is actually a restriction. Because if not, we get caught up in excuse-itis.
Ooh, what a good word. See, this is why I love Virgo energy, because you always have
Yeah.
the best words.
I make them up as I go. I
Love
need
it.
my own Sandy dictionary.
You
But
do.
we make up a lot of excuses on why we don't make change. And we are the one species that will fight ourselves to the death not to make change. And so that's why I was seeing kind of that uprooting of vegetables. Oh no, babe, you're ripe. It's time to come on up and out,
Yeah. Yeah.
and get cleaned off and start working this world, because tomorrow, next week, next year is just your own mental restriction that you placed on yourself. And the more that we go through this sifting and uprooting, the more we see the less we need, and the more we receive um, on every nutritional level, emotionally, physically, etherically, physically, um, we will receive all of everything that we need. I'm a prime example of being uprooted on many, many different occasions, having much, having nothing, and reinventing and redefining myself. And which then, of course, brought me to a few times of going, I wonder what it would be like if I wasn't on this planet. Meaning,
Mhm.
was something going to happen to the planet where I was going to be taken off? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Like maybe it was my time. Maybe I'm cooked. Maybe nothing's happening in the way I want it to happen because my time is up. Well, it's not that it's up. You're just in this transitional, things are maneuvering and you're in that turning of the ship, you know, the
Yeah.
changing of the winds of the plane, you're just,
Yeah.
you're in this moving into, and it's going to be interesting on who wants to maneuver with it. So we have to learn how to be more adaptable and understand what is a restriction and what is a responsibility, is what I keep hearing,
What
whatever
is a
that means to.
restriction? What
Yeah.
is a responsibility? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, I wanted to touch on, how,
Excuse-itis.
yeah, excusitis. We give
Yeah.
that to ourselves though,
Yes.
you know, um, and for a long period of time, I personally said, oh no, that person's gonna be fine, it'll be okay. Because me just coming out and doing this publicly, is a big deal in my, Christian family. And, I've had to make some serious sacrifices there. Uh, Whereas I'm like, okay, I have to be who I am. I have to be who I be. I can't just change everything to suit your needs, So I've had to say, this is my responsibility to myself. And I'm not going to restrict myself from doing what I love and being who I am to please that person. If that's where I was kind of feeling a lot of that coming from. And yeah, it took a while to get there. It took 2 years to come to this huge shakedown situation between me and my daughter, and it just happened this year. And, you can only do so much. I feel like we can only do so much as parents or as humans, whether it's a friend or a work situation or a group. You can only put yourself up there and say, hey, listen, I'm here to love you. I'm here to help you. I'm here to, what can I do? So many times, and then it be ignored, ghosted, rejected. And then, you're just, at some point in time, you're going to be like, okay, I hear you guys. Obviously, this is not the path. Have more responsibility for yourself. And you may need to restrict yourself from trying to be so giving, trying to be that person. The victim, the martyr, and the victimizer, all the same energy, all the same energy. And when it really gets down to it, we only have this moment. We only have this oneness within ourselves. We can be present. And I feel like this year moving forward, we're really going to need to stay present and realizing that all of the labels, like the martyr, the victim, and the victimizer, um, you know, it's all the same. The light and the dark, it's all the same. It's all the same energy. I have a night side and a light side. I get shadowed, different, I have his name is Drakkar. He's a reptilian, draconian guy, and he comes through here. He lived with me for 4 years and made our life hell many, many years ago. Now he comes back and he helps. I have light beings over here, but they're all the same and they're all me. I have two dragons, Anna and Grandfather Dragon. They're very real. Like, and I've seen some of these with my own two eyes, like seen, boom, right there. but it's all still me. And in fact, you listening to me, I am you. And this is really bringing it up now. We're going to that eagle view, right? We're going way beyond. We're on the ship. We're going up. But taking responsibility in the knowingness of that, while also being an astrologer
Mm-hmm.
that's predicting, is quite fascinating when you really
Yes.
understand it all on multiple levels. And also what you do, But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I like that. You really triggered me there. I think we're light coding each other, lighting each other up, shining it on.
Oh yeah, I mean I can feel it. And the larger the load, the more effort it takes to maneuver. And so things aren't going to happen at a split second. Some things that will easily fall by the wayside are one thing, but the real important things might take just a little bit more to maneuver it in the right direction. And the other thing that I was hearing is, this is the year where, if you're doing your work,
Yeah.
right, and whether you do it by choice or someone's going to uproot you, it's
Mm-hmm.
going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
People are going to see, sense, and feel energies. They're going to be able to literally, tangibly see them with
Mm-hmm.
their eyes open.
Oh,
And so we're going to have more of that coming in. I've experienced it for years, experiencing more now in a different texture and a
mm-hmm.
different realm uh, when it comes to me. Um, and I can tune in and see it more when I make the time to tune in. I may not understand all of it, but we're going to have a lot more of seeing, sensing, and feeling with our spiritual apparatus within the physical and the emotional and the spiritual and the etheric of this avatar. So we're going
Yeah.
to be seeing a lot more of that. We're going to be attracted to a lot more of that magical life that truly is there because it incarnated somewhere. It originated somewhere, which is why it's in all of the things. It's not just the movies that we relate to. It's going to be within our grasp of seeing, sensing, and feeling. And all of what isn't supposed to be here is gone. So there's nothing to fear when you have full authority and commandership over what goes on around you. And
Mm-hmm.
you learn to tap in and find those adaption buttons and
Mm.
learn to work them and then be able to pivot this vehicle and the directions of the energies so that you're learning through the experiences.
The telekinesis, that was what was coming through then. We're going to have so much more telekinesis. We're going to have so much more telecommunication going on after, I would say, the end of the year on, especially when we have Jupiter move into Gemini. Oh my, Gemini. And we're going to feel a lot lighter too. Gemini is the archetype of the teenager that just wants to go have fun, but has a lot of duality challenges. Okay. But we are
Mm-hmm.
learning to release that duality, right? And those that really are like, there's a third energy here. You know, the way they showed it to us, we were lit up as all cracker. I couldn't even believe it. Yesterday morning, woke up at 3:30 in the morning, and we went and started writing. I'm not an automatic writer. I have dyslexia. And in fact, all of my posts, I voice channel. You too, huh? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so I voice channel everything and then I'll go back and I'll fix the grammar. But anyway, I was like, what do you want me to write? Okay. So I went and I started writing and I was just writing away, writing away. I still have kind of looked at it, but then they were like, just put it away. And I was like, okay. So I haven't really even looked. But this was early in the morning. Then they're like, get some coffee. I'm like, I don't want coffee. I don't drink coffee anymore. I haven't had coffee in 2 years. I'm not a coffee person. You want some coffee? Okay. I got some coffee. The cat came in. I have a deaf cat, completely deaf, and he's an alien. He trips me out. he's an energy transmuter. He'll get on top of the clients and he does his thing, but he's very like standoffish from some of them. It's very interesting. Anyway, he looks at me like, what are you doing? Why are you up this early? I mean, it's like 5 o'clock in the morning. I don't ever get this early. And I fed him, put him out. And the next thing you know, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna write all this stuff. And then I'm creating and we're just doing. And that's the other thing is I feel like we're really starting when we have this Jupiter move into Gemini, we're really gonna be feeling like we need to expand on our fun in all different kinds and times. And we're gonna be getting messages, it'll feel like we're like I will hear audibly people say stuff and then check with them and they've said it. You know, I'm like, okay, that happens to me since I was little. I will see things but I've always had this.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like more and more people, because I'm getting people that I'm mentoring, young ones that are, and I call them young ones, they may be 40 years old, but they're young ones, and that are like, wow, I've this and this has happened, or I've saw this, or do you think I'm attracted to dragons for this reason? Stuff like that. And
Mm-hmm.
it's cool because that's going to be happening more and more. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Jupiter into Gemini is really going to, well, Gemini is an air sign, but it's mutable. And mutable means it could go this way or that way.
Mm-hmm.
It's sometimes undecided, and that's okay because messages that go through the ether are sometimes undecided, and you got to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be okay with that, I think.
Yeah.
It's going to be cool. I think it's going to be neat because we'll see so many more people coming online this year, I think more than we have ever seen. Really understanding that, okay, I'm not crazy because I hear this audibly, but there's nothing there. Because then they'll get proven later that because somehow it will manifest that what they heard was right, it was said, and it had relevance.
Mm-hmm.
You're seeing it more and more. I know I am. In the past couple of years, I've seen it more and more where something will happen and then the relevance will show up within moments. Now, for people who are just kind of understanding, maybe something happens and it shows up a week later or a day later or whatever. But my stuff is like, it's just popping, and as like many people's are,
Yeah.
that have like you and us that been going through this for a while. It's crazy. And sometimes it's just so much fun. I just
Mm-hmm.
get the biggest kick out of this life and this world. Even the card stuff, I have to laugh at sometimes. And that's like seriously, I'm like, this, you just can't make this
You
shit.
can't make this shit up. You try to. You go into that excuse-itis on why it's happening.
You
I
start.
want to bring a message to your point there about, that instant manifestation and you
Mhm.
going through your situation now. I went through it a couple of weeks ago where it was thought of something, and next thing I know, I've got an email all about it on my phone directed at all the answers that I was just talking about, or someone will message me about something and it's exactly the answer that I needed, or I've answered their questions. We all go through spurts where this occurs. Can happen for one day, can happen for a week, can happen longer, whatever it is, it will happen for you. So if it's not happening to you yet, we're not special right here.
No.
We're just saying that we're experiencing it. And that if you start paying attention,
Mhm.
you will see how it naturally just occurred, but you're just overriding it because you're still in that restrictive, oh, no, that didn't happen. Oh, I didn't correlate any of that. But if you let some of that go, which is why we're moving into the different sensory systems. We're moving into a different dashboard to operate this vehicle, is what we're moving into. So we're going to learn how to play with the new dials.
Yeah. I feel like when we get on board the ship in January, we'll be given the manual. It's like, okay, this is what this is what your voyage is going to be
Mm-hmm.
like, and this is how you can operate your vessel while on this ship, that you're going. And I'm literally, it's on my list. I'm going to create a meditation because I did voiceover work for years, and I'm going to create a meditation that's all around just get on board the ship and we're going to go somewhere, into the
Mm-hmm.
cosmos. Maybe we'll go on past the Andromedas to my home planet. It'll be amazing,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So it's so cool how we're learning how to embody more photonic light because the Earth is so entranced in the photon belt, because we're always spiraling, 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 just like our DNA. Our whole
Mm-hmm.
galaxy is spiraling, spiraling, spiraling at constant
Yeah.
motion. And so we have to learn to be spiraling in constant motion with each other, and within each other, and realizing that everything is us. But yeah, it's cool. And the vessel, sometimes for me and some others that I know, everybody's different, right? But I'm just using myself as an example. For me, I drank alcohol a whole lot when I was younger. It was basically because I was with men who were activating the addiction wound within
Mm-hmm.
my family structure that I have been working on to heal.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, and I gave that up because it wasn't like I went, oh, darn it, I'm not going to drink anymore. It was like naturally, all of a sudden, I didn't want hard liquor. And then a year later, naturally, I could not handle drinking beer. It was just gross. Blech. And then, I mean, year after year, it just fell away. And then at the end, it was like all I could drink was those little truly drinks, fuzzy drinks. I'm just using this as an example. You can put this
Mm-hmm.
towards any kind of food, any kind of
Mm-hmm.
eating. And then by it's been now 3 years, I don't want any alcohol because I get so high on energy that
Yes.
I don't need it. I would probably be like I don't even know if I was on, and plus it hurts me. And it's not like I'm going, oh, it's bad for your health. No. And if you're wanting to walk in that and play in that, more power to you. I'm not judging. There's no judgment here. I'm just using this as an example. But our bodies will change and it'll just happen naturally.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something that you literally choose. And my body was rejecting it, like really, and still, I tried on New Year's. Oh no, it wasn't using my birthday this last past year. I was like, oh, okay, haven't had one in almost 3 years, but let's go ahead and have a margarita with the Mexican dinner. I was so sick the next day. I could hear
Mm-hmm.
going, yeah, no, you shouldn't have done that. And I was like, I know, it's the first time in almost 3 years. And I'm not even counting. Like I was like, I don't even know how long it's been. But they're like, yeah. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it because I can, because I want to, and I'm gonna try and see if my body can handle it. My body was still like, nope, you can't do it. So these certain things like meats, I don't eat meats except for fish and chicken. I can't do the rest. And they naturally fell away. It had nothing to do with, oh, don't eat processed foods. Not saying that those are great for you, but it had nothing to do with it because I am one to believe that we can program our food
Mm-hmm.
with our hands. Like I'll blast light. I will
Mm-hmm.
blast light right from my hands, straight from my heart, straight from the source. Because all of my stuff goes straight through the source. And then I have all my playmates that give me yes or no answers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty cool. The vessel is an interesting fast. We could talk for hours about the vessel.
Well, we're as the Earth is going through its calibration, and you can call it a metamorphosis, you can call it whatever you choose to call it. Everything is going through calibration right now. So
Mhm,
one day you might enjoy this food, drink, whatever, and the next day you don't. But
mhm,
most people will override that. They'll make up excuse itis and they'll just keep eating or drinking
mhm,
until they're so saturated that their body is literally rejecting it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's rejecting it through aches and pains and IBS and brain fog and all these things we chalk up to. Could be this, could be that, could be this, but really we need to go through and actually look at what we're putting into our body. And you don't necessarily have to go through these massive impulsive detox. And I know it's a huge detox month.
Mm-hmm.
You can simply bless the waters within the body, the cells within the body, and ask what no longer serves to be released and to calibrate with more grace and ease. Because if you're not listening, you're going to wind up on your back. You're going to wind up with a cold or a flu or something that you think you contracted from somewhere else, but it's really your body regurgitating what it no longer wants in it. And
Mm-hmm.
so asking yourself every day, how do I calibrate? What's the best way for me to calibrate? How much energy do I have to have output? What do I need for input? And simply staying in the moment of the day is really what's being taught over and over and over and over again without getting all nostalgic and saying, present moment, present moment,
Yeah.
present.
Yeah.
Most people are not in the present moment. They have no idea that they're literally sitting in this chair, listening to the energies around them, tuning into you, listening to what's coming in,
Mm-hmm.
truly in that present moment of that microsecond, and say, what
I
do we
call it
really want?
consciousness. Like I've
Mhm.
always
Yes.
called it, are you conscious of your consciousness? Sorry to
Yes.
interject, but if I didn't,
No, I love it.
I'm gonna lose it. Are you conscious of your consciousness? This is
Mhm.
what I've said often. And I've had people look at me like, what? I'm like, really think about that. Absorb it for a minute. Are you conscious of your consciousness?
Mhm.
Are you, and that's another way of putting, everything basically that you just said too. But it's
Mhm.
it's really, there's no people, they're worried about the freaking Super Bowl coming up in February, I heard somebody say, I don't remember who it was. Who was
Or
it?
they're jump starting a diet that's never really going to work for them because they're not really listening to what their body is asking them. Their
Oh, it's not
body and
even
their
the
mind
right
is asking.
time. It's not even the
Yeah.
right time to diet
Yeah.
right now, quite.
Exactly. That's more spring. And I wanted to say, so moving forward, as we gain this momentum this week, and we're coming up on the new moon on the 11th of January,
Mhm,
111, guys,
mhm,
beautiful number.
mhm, mhm, mhm.
So it might be a really good time to kind of burrow in and hunker in and ask, what is it that I need to shed? What could I listen to that's uplifting and that I feel like resonates with some learning, but
Mhm,
learning that is of a higher projection of self,
mhm.
and yet shedding of things that don't serve. So maybe tuning in to your live that you do on Tuesday, maybe understanding a little bit more about planetary effects on
Yeah.
each of us, and staying in that moment of, okay, today this is what I can do for self. And don't worry about what's going to happen tomorrow, because everything you do in this moment sets you up for the next moment. So
Yes.
you have a choice in this moment on whatever vibration you choose to take on, whether that's ingesting thought, people, places, things, foods, drink, doesn't matter what it is. But in this moment, you have a moment to start. The next moment, you have a moment to restart until you can start setting up more consistent moments that are for the higher vibrational frequency of self, so that you can actually tap into what's being offered to you by the universe, by the spiritual source, by the love of all that there is. Maybe get past basic happiness, tap into a couple tidbits of joy, and
Yeah.
then work your way from there. So maybe starting in on your Tuesday offerings of free tuning into lives might get people started in some of that energetic change as they're building this new moon momentum.
Yes, yes. And by the way, every week on Tuesdays, most Tuesdays, sometimes I change it up, but I always keep everyone up to date on my Facebook and my Instagram and my YouTube in the community tab. Chanda Sparkles Astrology or Chanda Sparkles. You'll find it. I always cross promote, so it's pretty easy to find me on Facebook, and we go live at 6 Central. That is 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, and 11 p.m. Universal Time in London. And it's Wednesday morning at 10 and 9 o'clock in New Zealand and Australia. It's a week that we will be looking for the exaggerations and the big visions, but then we're going to also be wanting to feel stability and structure. It's going to be that restriction, contraction, expansion, magnification, pull all month long. But leading up to this Capricorn new moon, we will have the moon in Sagittarius, and that'll be an optimistical time where we may have some radical expressions to have. I mean, just go on in some adventures starting next week. And really, when Mars moves into Capricorn, we're going to be forcing that power, and that's happening this Thursday. But yeah, come tune in on Tuesdays. And remember, it is just board the ship January in the year that I have coined the year of the ascended. It's a pivotal year of the ascended. So much fun.
And I love it. And it just correlated with what we were talking about off camera when we were saying hi and adjusting our lights.
Yep.
We had no idea what we were going to go into because everything I talk about when people come on here is very impromptu. It just kind of goes with the flow. There's nothing rehearsed except for the fact that you knew what was going on planetarily through your magical astrology and your intuitiveness. But we are all here to take stock and take action to be the better beings that we're here to be. What's come from now has just been lessons learned and experiences. Now moving forward, what would you like to experience, and start living and breathing that in the example of what you want to see in the external world. So you've got to adjust your internal, work on those dials, and then you'll see your external begin to self adjust. And you'll be able to realize what's a responsibility, what's a restriction, and then where's your excuse-itis meter? Because that's
Excuse-itis.
running on, yeah, that's running on high. I suggest you pump the brakes.
Right? I love it. Pump the brakes.
Pump the brakes.
But make sure you board the ship before. At least get on the ship.
Well, it's interesting. I the other day I had this like meditative dream, and I went onto a ship, and it was what looked like a small ship with a small foyer, and there was just dials and things that I didn't recognize. There was cobwebs, there was other stuff in it. And I remember entering it and walking around, and I was talking to somebody. And I said, well, you guys need to clean this up because I don't know what to do with it. And
The
I start
typical
to exit.
Virgo.
Yeah. And I start to exit and I hear, no, it's not old. It's been in storage. It's been waiting for you.
Oh.
And then I just remember waking up after that. So when you were saying board the ship, I'm like, I just did that the other day. I just did that. But I was trying to get off of it.
Yeah, that's
I was like, this isn't familiar.
Oh
I don't know what this is.
That's cool. But
everything was operated through touch and thought.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just wanted to push gears.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because
it's like, doesn't work like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a little egg ship that I fly around in. I go to a planet past Andromeda. There's a planet that's my home planet. It's beautiful. I could explain it so clearly and vividly. But I also fly around Sirius, and I'm like this alien cop. It's more Arcturian looking, if you know what they look like. And I'm in this egg, and it's like an egg shaped thing. It's almost like a helicopter, but it doesn't have any propellers. And it's kind of like an egg, and it's just me. But then in the back, I have a satchel. and I'll go and I'll capture and net in bad guys' souls, and I'll throw them back there, and then they just dissolve into the satchel. Like there's no real, like there's no backseat or anything. It's just like this little satchel. And I've been flying around in this egg all my life since I probably remember the first time was probably 8 or 9 years old. I told my mom, I said, I am a cop in space. And my mom always just always thought it was crazy. I said, no, I'm really a cop in space. I said, I throw them in my satchel. Yeah. So, I mean, like, there's all kinds of things that we're doing in our dreams. I just want to pull this in because this is all like going in that flow, um, that we're doing in our dreams. We're working in our dreams. You leave the body in your dreams. Give yourself that time for that spiritual integration. You know, when you're going to sleep, before you get up, let the vessel be like, okay, I'm here. All right. You know, fill it with light, fill it with love, you know. I always talk about spiritual hygiene on my channel too. You know, are you
Oh
doing
yeah.
spiritual
Oh
hygiene?
yeah.
You know, all of that stuff.
Absolutely.
So I just love that we came together and did this. And I knew that it was going to be great. So thank you.
Yes. Thank you. And thank you for making the time today. I know it's a holiday and everyone's out kind of doing their thing, but
Hey,
I
it's my favorite
appreciated you
thing to
committing
do. This
the
is fun.
day.
This is fun.
Yeah, it's been
So,
great. So everybody listen, all of Chanda's links will be in the description. So please go check her out and check out her forecast that she puts out, and she join her Facebook, join her. Are you on Instagram?
yeah, Instagram
Okay.
and all that stuff.
Yeah, we'll put it all out
YouTube.
there.
Go to the YouTube Chanda Sparkles and please subscribe. That would help a
There
lot.
you go, guys. And then everything will also be in the list of her descriptions in her YouTube channel.
Yeah,
And I
everything goes live on,
appreciate,
they go live on everything. It's across the board. So wherever you land, I'll be there every Tuesday night or
awesome.
Wednesday morning, Southern Hemisphere.
Yes. Well, we appreciate what you do. One light worker at a time makes a giant beacon of light. And you know, you're talking about that egg flying around. I see billions of them
Yes, I
on
do
a
too.
daily basis, and I've always been told they're energy zappers,
Ooh,
sort of like a bug zapper, you know. But
cool.
they go around like droplets of light. They fly all around the salt pepper. It looks like salt and pepper in the sky when I see it because I can see it with my naked eye. So
Nice.
when I go outside to see the sky show, and I recommend you all do that and start developing your inner sight,
Mhm.
you might be able to see Shanda walking around on one of her eggs out there collecting, doing
Let
some
me know.
zapping, and you
Put
might
them
be
in
out
my
there in your egg
satchel.
too. Yes, exactly. Collecting all that. Zap, zap, zap.
I would love
All
it.
right,
Let's
everybody,
do it
please
again.
yes,
Okay.
like, subscribe, and share. And we'll see you on the next video. And Shanda, stay on. Just say bye.
Bye. Sparkle on.